Good morning, San Antonio. Coming at you live on another Wednesday morning, every Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. with the Sauce Podcast with AJ Reygadas, brought to you by the Line Studios with S180 Productions. I'm really excited about this morning's show just because I got a great guest here that we're really going to be able to dive into and pour in with some education on the custom home building process. And so, I asked this guy if he can come out. He's a good friend of mine. Some of my agents are doing business with him, and I figured, you know what, this would be a great opportunity for us both for me to actually get to interview you, and not only that, but you to be able to talk about your product and what separates you from other custom builders. So without further ado, I want to introduce my guest, Torres.
What's up, guys?
TK Custom Homes.
That's right. Name change.
Good morning, brother.
How are you, bud?
Good. Are you a morning person, man?
I am. I get up early just because of it's the business I'm in. So
I hear you.
I'm hitting the road
Shit, you gotta hit it.
by 6 o'clock, dude.
You were telling me a bit ago about how many appointments you got lined up today.
It's business ownership. It's funny because when I thought about becoming a business owner, I didn't consider all the other tangential meetings that go with it.
Yeah.
Right? I thought I was just going to get to build houses and it was going to be great. And I spend less of my time these days actually managing construction and more managing people, which is not something I enjoy, but it's kind of a necessary evil of running a business.
I get what you're saying, man. I can relate to that mainly because, with me being in real estate for now, by the end of this month will be 12 years.
Dang, congratulations.
And, the first 3 years of real estate, all my appointments were clients.
Right.
They were clients. Now, most of my schedule gets filled up with office meetings and back end meetings and meetings
you
with
end up
agents.
working on the business instead of in the business.
Exactly.
Right.
Working on the business instead of in the business.
Which is kind of what you're supposed to do, right? As a business owner, you're supposed to be on the macro. Not so much in the weeds.
Yeah.
But I have a great team behind me. That's the only reason I'm able to do what I do.
That's awesome.
Cindy Autry, I always joke that my right-hand man is a woman. And it's true. Cindy has 25 years of experience in the build on your lot and custom home building and home building in general. And I really lean hard on her. She's my VP of operations and purchasing. Yeah, and she's the glue that keeps us all together.
And I've noticed too, man, and correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes these female business partners can be great at cracking the whip and telling it like it is.
Absolutely. In fact, I would say it's funny because I'm 10 years younger than she is, but she looks and she acts just like my little sister. and so we always joke that we're brother and sister. So and when it's time to have a hard conversation, I'll tell her, Cindy, check your feelings at the door.
Check your feelings.
Because we're about to have a hard conversation. And she goes, my feelings are at the door, but just let's go. Because I'm going to give it back. I said, that's fine. Because I'm not always right. That's one thing I've learned in business, especially over the last, I would say 2 years since she's been with me, is that, my way isn't always the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely been an eye-opening experience. We also have Jennifer Dubé, who I recently have moved into more of a purchasing role.
Okay.
When she started, it's funny, she had zero experience, but she was a family friend, had retail experience, and I knew I could take, her work ethic, her loyalty, and all of the core qualities that she had, and just train her on how to do home building and train her to do design, and she would be an asset and she would be an impact player. Yeah. And she has been. She's definitely proven to do that. So what I did is I slid her over in purchasing. And Lisa Sparta, who was handling some Salesforce, I slid her into design. Okay. So we actually have an interior design studio in our model where most of our homeowners will come and get to select a lot of their items. And now Lisa's walking them through that process. So
man, and I remember the first time I walked into your model, I was blown away, man. I was blown away by the quality of your product, the detail. And granted, I know that was the model home, but there were several things that you pointed out to me that you were like, this comes standard. Right. And I was just blown away how a lot of builders consider minimal things an upgrade, right?
Right. Well, one thing that we do standard in all of our homes is we do 10-foot plate lines. So that means all the walls are 10 feet throughout the whole home. Yeah. And all the doors are 8-foot doors. Nice. So instead of doing a traditional 6-8 door, we're doing an 8-foot door. Yeah. Now, what that does is it actually gives you volume in your house. So square footage is important, but it's also how you use the square footage. Yep. But it's also the way a house feels, right? So when you walk in, if you have these tall ceilings and these tall doors, it just makes the house feel voluminous.
That makes sense.
And that's something that we do standard throughout all of our homes.
Yeah. And you have a look, and I'm sure you have different styles
Sure.
you can do, obviously made to order and whatnot and custom, but I love the look that it seems like you have a niche is what I'm trying to get at of a clientele that you're looking for.
So to
attract.
It's mostly because like I don't like rounded corners.
Yeah.
Like I like symmetrical. I like clean straight lines.
Yeah.
I like that modern hill country
Very
look.
contemporary.
Contrasting blacks and whites.
Yeah.
I always joke that I'm a hammer and the world's a nail. So you don't want to leave the color selections to me.
I like how you said that though, modern hill country. That's true because
Yeah.
I've been trying to think of like what's the best way to put it because it's
Modern
got a
hill
modern
country.
look to it, but at the same time it's different, it's unique.
Right.
And I like that modern hill country. That's the first time I've heard
and that's it's just a lot of those contrasting colors, straight lines, gables on the front, that kind of stuff. So we definitely. But again, we can build whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
I always tell whatever homeowner I'm sitting across from, like, it's your home.
Yeah.
It's your castle. We are a one-stop shop. We can walk you through the design process.
Yeah.
We have a draftsman that works for us that we draw up the plans for him.
Yeah.
So we'll have a draftsman. He'll actually take someone's dream, whether it's on a napkin, a Pinterest board, a printout of a plan they found online, and we can take it and we can start to create a plan for the homeowner that they can actually like dream off of and start to head down the path of building their custom home.
Nice.
So that's kind of part of what we do.
Yeah.
But again, for us, it's really asking a lot of questions. I saw a post on Facebook the other day. It says you almost have to do something wrong or bad before you can do it well.
Yeah.
And I would say that a lot of
Fix your
things,
mistakes,
right?
but
a lot
learn
of,
from them.
Exactly. I would say a lot of the things that we're doing today, are because of things that we did wrong in the beginning when we first started. I mean, we started in 2018, but we really didn't get going until 2019.
Yeah.
And in that short span of was that like 3 years now?
Yeah.
I mean, we have just grown exponentially. It's been insane. But
So I'm curious to know, because when you started, it seems like you were launching, really taking off in 2019. Did 2020 play an impact on you?
So absolutely. So like in the beginning of 2020, and it's funny, like you go through things as a business owner and you're not really quite sure why. And I remember the beginning of 2020, I lost a salesperson and office manager all within like 30 days.
Wow.
I was down to just like me and one construction manager.
Dang.
And I thought, again, it was March 2020 when that happened, and we all know what happened, shortly thereafter.
Yep.
The world came to a screeching halt. And I remember it just being this really eerie feeling of driving out to a couple of job sites and seeing like nobody on the road.
Yeah.
And it just being quiet and not really having this foreboding fear of like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Here I just started this business. We're not even, we're not even 2 years in.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we're like in a pandemic. It was insane. But what ended up happening that year is I hired a new salesperson, hired Cindy and Jen, and then we just took off. The summer of 2020, we just sold a bunch of houses and we didn't look back.
Yeah.
And we haven't looked back since. We built the model in Bell Oaks. Last I checked, we're at 40 homes that we've completed in that short span of time. What we've accomplished, and I say our team, I mean, and obviously through the grace of God, but what we've accomplished in the short 3 years is nothing short of amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
There's this book called What It Takes by Stephen Schwartzman.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about, one of the things that stood out in the book was, entrepreneurship and business ownership. And the question was what it takes.
Yeah.
Everything you've got.
Yeah.
And then some more.
Yeah.
And that's definitely
Those first few years are the grunt work.
man,
I mean, I know you've been in the business for a long time.
No,
though,
yeah,
right?
no. So I've worked for home builders before, and so I've been in the business since like 2006.
Okay.
I actually grew up. My grandfather was a dirt contractor for a lot of production builders, so I grew up doing that
He
stuff.
kind of influenced you?
Yeah, it was funny because like I would go, work with my family and on the weekends and after school and stuff, and I remember seeing like the superintendents driving around in their trucks telling people what to do, and I'm like, I want to be that guy.
I want to do that.
I want to do that. And then I started doing that, and I was like, this sucks too. And so then I became a project manager, and I'm like, well, this sucks too.
This sucks too.
And so I dabbled in some development and some project management, and then I was like, well, you know what? Let's just go ahead and if it all sucks, we might as well make the most of it. So business ownership was the next progression for me. But I've worked for production builders here in town. I've worked for custom builders. So I definitely lean on a lot of that even
Yeah.
today. I picked up a lot of great things. I've met a lot of great people. People that have been influential in my life and my career. Guys like Brian Nanny,
Yeah.
who he was the division president at Horizon View Homes.
Okay. Yeah.
And I've known him since I was a kid, man.
Yeah.
And guys like Mark Rauschenberg, who runs First Choice now. Known a lot of these guys that just played a huge role in shaping how I build. In fact, I still use the schedules to this day that Brian Nanny taught me. I still use those schedules building my homes.
Yeah.
So I still use those schedules to this day.
That's awesome, man.
But I mean, it's as difficult as it is, and by nature, I would say, construction managers and people that work for home builders, they're by nature, they want to make people happy.
Yeah.
But it's been really difficult to do that.
Yeah.
Here lately, just because of the pandemic and
Yeah. It's a lot of moving parts,
dude.
man.
Well, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things that everything that used to be easy is now hard.
Yeah.
And you have to set realistic expectations as to how long something's going to take.
Yeah.
And before we could order windows and have them within 2 weeks, and now it's like 24 weeks if you're lucky.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Man, that's so true. I like how you said that because if you don't mind me saying
Of
this,
course.
like there's always been this, and I shouldn't say always, because I'm sure it's a good 50%, but it seems like people have complained in the past about the custom home building process
Right.
in general. I think that it's just like any industry though, just like in real estate for realtors, right? Is if we're not setting the right expectations, the
Right.
proper expectations up front, then it's going to be a bad experience and there's
Sure.
going to be a lot of blame and pointing fingers.
Well,
and so I think it's the
100%.
same thing with custom home builders if
Well,
they're not setting the right expectations.
what I found is like if you have, let's say you set the expectation here,
Yeah.
and someone's experience is here,
Yeah.
the larger the gap, the larger the frustration that the homeowner's going to have with you.
Yeah.
It correlates. And like one place that I worked at was David Weekley, and they were great on customer service.
Yeah.
And one thing they used to say was, it's good news fast, bad news faster. And it was all about setting the right expectations, right?
Yeah.
So we do that now. But I feel like what kind of sucks is like you have to continuously almost reset those expectations based on whatever the market is doing.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, your flooring's been discontinued. We're going to need you to reselect. And that's just, dude, that's not a fun process.
Yeah.
And the other thing is you got to be careful with how you handle your buyer, because you might think that you're doing something for them, but you really end up doing something to them.
Yeah.
Right. That's one thing that I've learned as well, is that,
Yeah.
for us, whenever we write a change order, it costs two things: time and money.
Yeah.
Right. And I always say that, money can't buy time.
Yeah.
So a homeowner will pay for the change order and then they're shocked when it takes longer. But if you look at our contract, for every change order, we get another 30 days to build your home.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people don't
Which
realize.
hopefully that's even enough time for that change of the order.
Dude, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I mean, that's kind of the weird thing, is like, sometimes we have to, because you're deviating from the script, right?
Yeah.
Like now you're changing things up. So I have to send my guys back 3 times to do something.
Yeah.
Just to get it right, because now we've gone off the reservation. We've gone off plan, which sucks, dude. It's just not fun.
Especially, I would imagine, within the custom home building process, there's so many different vendors you got to go to for different
man.
things. So and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm all about being corrected, but it's a process of going in order of things. So
Right.
if we have cabinets set to come in next, and now we just change the cabinets, well, now we got to wait till that
Yep.
product comes in, and we can't move forward with flooring until that comes in. It just throws everything in a
So
bind.
there's a concept called critical path.
Yeah.
So what critical path says is, I need this to do that. So obviously, in order for me to get my countertops measured and installed, I need my cabinets.
Yeah.
Right. In order for trim and doors to be installed, I need my drywall.
Yeah.
In order to have drywall, I need to make sure that my frame and my MEPs have been inspected and my insulation has been installed.
Yeah.
So I kind of went backwards there, but like everything has an order of the way it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
So I tell my homeowners when we're doing a pre-construction meeting, like, this is the time to change something. Like, you should have already discussed this with your salesperson, but if you want to make a change, it is infinitely cheaper and it'll take us less time if we do it now versus waiting until we get to sheetrock or deeper in the process.
Yeah.
The further you go in the process of building a home, whether it's production or custom, the longer it's going to take to do a change, and just the more work it's going to be.
Yeah.
So
I believe it.
You try to control that. Again, like I said, there's just so many moving pieces to it. I mean, and I don't think homeowners realize quite all the moving pieces that go into it. Here recently with one of your agents, we had a homeowner that was contracted on one of our houses, and he needed to close by the end of July. So we had 3 specs in a row we were building. He bought the one in the middle. And I didn't necessarily slow down the other houses. I just decided to put all my resources, my focus on the one house to get it done for him. So I'm hounding my construction manager. I'm making sure we're getting things done. We're ordering, all these moving pieces, and we have all this momentum. And he calls me up, or he shoots me a text on a Thursday, and the realtor does, the buyer's agent, and says, "Hey, can we meet?" I'm like, "Tomorrow at noon." I'm like, "Nah, if I'm gonna bleed, I want to bleed now." So I said, "Let's meet tonight." It's like, if you're busting out, like, I want to know.
Yeah.
And no, we sat down, and he starts telling me how great of a young man I am, because he's 80 and I'm 40.
That's how you know the talk is coming.
So I was like, just Mel, stop. Like, just stop. Just tell me what you want, and I'll see if I can do it.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out he wanted to be on a completely different house, or the house next door versus the house that he was in. So, I mean, homeowners don't realize, like, we already have, and he's like, "I still need to be in by the end of July." I'm like, "There's no way."
Yeah.
Like, I had momentum on the other house. Like, I was moving.
Yeah.
Like, I had a plan, and now we had to switch and untangle that knot, which was stressful.
Yeah.
But, and I always tell, like, because I've done this for so long, like, I know there's certain things that you can do, and I know why I tell my people to do them. So on that house, which is so now we've switched to the other house.
Yeah.
We're building, we're trying to gain momentum. I told my staff, I'm like, "Here's what I want you to do. This isn't ideal. And a lot of times I don't like doing this, but it's a smaller house. It's not as complicated a home. And I knew there wouldn't be an issue. I said, I want you to make the countertops off of the template of the cabinets." And I know a lot of times granite companies, they don't like to do that because there can be some margin for error there.
Yeah.
Because they like to field measure and get it right. I said, "Well, look, I understand that, but this is a very simple house. Like, just do what I'm telling you to do."
Yeah.
"Well, you're only going to pick up like 2 days in production." That's a valuable 2 days for me. Like, I need it.
Yeah.
Well, they, one of my staff took it upon themselves to wait a day and let them come in and measure. I'm not going to say what his name is, but he's my cousin, and I could beat the crap out of him for it. And so he didn't listen to me, and of course I dressed him down in the meeting. I was like, "You don't make that call, like, ever."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, it's just a day." I'm like, no, you should have listened to me.
Yeah.
Well, Murphy's Law, man. If it can go wrong, it'll go wrong.
Yeah.
So they show up to install the cabinets. They installed them on the house next door.
Oh, shit.
Because they had measured the wrong house. And I was like, "This is why I told you to do it the way I wanted it done, because you already messed up. Like, you should have just listened to me. Like, I know why I'm telling you to do things this way." And I said, "Never make a decision that goes against what I've told you to do, because I know what I'm telling you. Like, I know why like, I have a reason. Like, I'm not just like arbitrarily making it. Like, I know why I wanted it done this way." And the countertop guy, and they're a great company, and they're a trusted vendor partner of ours, and I love the guys to death. But he's like, "Man, in the history of all my time of doing this," I'm like, "Well, how long is that?" 3 years. It's just never happened. I'm like, "Well, it just did, mother."
You're not selling enough countertops then if it's never happened.
Yeah,
yet.
I'm like, it happened. I said it had to be my house. It had to happen on. So on a closing, no less. But we'll get countertops tomorrow, and we'll figure it out. But again, it's
so constant curveballs.
Always, man. I mean, one of the last jobs that I worked before I started the company, I worked for Camillo Properties. And Camillo Properties, they're the parent company that owns Bella Vista, Princeton Classic, Legend Homes, and I was on the built to rent side. So I would develop the land, and I actually built the subdivision out for them as well. And there was 150 or 160 houses that in this community, and I had to build it in a year.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about a lot of moving pieces and a lot of like things that could go wrong. The one nice thing about it was there was no homeowner.
Yeah.
So there, like, when there's homeowners involved, obviously it's a very emotional thing. But when there's no homeowner involved, it's just
a lot smoother.
It's transactional.
Yeah.
It's like, do you have your certificate of occupancy?
And what we're referring to is when building spec homes, right?
No, we're doing build to rent. So these
build
are
to rent.
These are homes.
Okay, I get you.
These are homes that are built, communities that are built exclusively to rent.
Okay.
So they just go to the property management company.
Investors.
No, so Camilla holds on to all of them.
Oh, they hold
them all.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, they have been known to sell some in tranches, but
yeah,
that's a cash cow for them. Dude.
Okay.
That's a great business model. But,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and now I learned a lot doing that. And it's funny because I remember working like really long days and just feeling discouraged and fighting an uphill battle because I was a year it rained a lot and I'm trying to pour like 30 slabs and it's just all these things going on. And I remember just being tired, right? Like just feeling like this, like what's the point? You know, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Well, when I was doing the development there, I met Brady Baggs, who worked for LJ Engineering. Mm-hmm. And time went on, and I left Camillo and went on my own. And he remembered me, and we would dialogue over a couple projects. Well, Brady ended up introducing me to Paul Quo, who owns HK Development.
Okay.
Well, Paul Quo controls about 8,000 paper lots from San Antonio to Georgetown.
Damn.
And when I started the business, I had another business partner. They were the Holock and Wagner Holock, and we started the business with him. But I knew where I wanted to go and how I wanted to grow. And me and Dennis just weren't aligned on that. You know, he wanted to keep it small. I wanted to go.
Yeah.
Because I was ready. You know, I wanted to make this thing grow into something significant. Well, Paul approached us about buying out Dennis, and that happened at the beginning of this year. So now we're transitioning out of Wagner Holock, and we're transitioning to the new name, which is going to be TK Custom Homes, Torres and Quo.
Yeah.
So now my new business partner is a developer, but even that relationship, had I not built those 150 houses and met Brady back then, like that wouldn't have opened the door. Yeah. It wouldn't have opened the door to meet Paul, who eventually became my business partner. And now we've got. We have about $3 million worth of lots between Stone Creek and Bell Oaks and Canyon Lake. We're getting ready to do a 60-door duplex project over in Fredericksburg.
Yeah, I remember you talking about
and then I'm working with Paul to do 24 doors, 6 quadplexes over in St. Hedwig.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm working with Kevin Gomez on.
Yeah.
One of your guys.
Oh boy, Kevin, we got him. We're gonna bring him on here in a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm working with Kevin on that, and we're just we're gonna try to move towards doing more. We're gonna do a healthy mix because as I've seen the market kind of normalize, I won't say it's crashing. I just think it's going back to
you for
before.
saying that. Yeah.
It's just going back to what it did before. I mean, hell, your interest rates are just 2018 interest rates. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You're fine. Like, calm down. But now I will say inflation does play a factor.
Sure.
And that's obvious because you have a higher, now people are spending more money for a home.
Yeah.
So I get that. I get that part of it. But the demand is still there. I mean, and the thing that Paul and I discuss is that all those jobs aren't even here yet.
Yeah.
The Microsofts, the Tesla, the Amazon, a lot of those jobs aren't even here yet.
Yeah.
So we still got to get ready for all that.
I think that's important to talk about too, man. Is talking about this market right now. Talking about how it's the question that just keeps ringing over and over the past, I would say, 2 months is, are we in a recession? Are we in a recession? Are we going into a recession? Is it going to pop? Is this bubble going to pop? Is it over? And it's like, we're not in a recession.
Well, and I would also make the point that we're not in a bubble.
Yeah, we're not in a bubble. And it's
those
funny.
Are some very unique set of circumstances that caused 2008.
Yeah,
money was cheap, and
they were giving loans to people that shouldn't have been getting
if you were breathing, you got a mortgage. That's not what happened here.
I was watching this podcast segment last night. I'm not going to say the name of it, but there was an argument going as to why it is considered a recession right now, and there was some logic behind it. It kind of makes sense, because they're referring to the GDP and whatnot, and 2 consecutive quarters of loss, which was the definition of a recession. But I think that what we got to be careful with too is Texas isn't experiencing what other states.
Right.
I mean, we are kind of feeling what they're feeling because it's a trickle effect, but at the same time, we're not prone like other states are falling into a serious situation.
We're going to feel like the interest rates because that's federal.
Yeah.
Like that's something that's outside of the state. But in terms of being in one of the best markets, I mean, we still are.
One of the strongest.
We're in one of the strongest cities in the strongest state.
Yeah.
in the union right now. Like
Yeah.
we're in a good spot.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing the statistic when we went to the Metro study at the beginning of this year. They talked about the demand being about 40,000 homes per year is what we need. Like that's what we needed to meet.
Yeah.
Well, we're only able to like permit and start about 22,000 homes.
Yeah.
So we're not even meeting the demand yet.
So I can't remember the number count, but we were just in it on Monday with my boy Art, who's a real estate coach, and we were having the conversation, and he was talking about the number of home sales from January 1st till the beginning of August in 2021 versus 2022. There's only a decline of 800 homes in home sales.
That's crazy.
Now, of course, this is going off of the MLS, right? This isn't including new home construction that doesn't make the MLS. So those numbers are kind of,
it'll skew the data a little bit.
But at the same time, to know that this whole panic thing that everyone's experiencing right now, it's like we're only down by 800 houses and the rates are a lot higher this year than what they were last year. So that's not that bad.
I think the people that are panicking are the people that just got into the business.
Yeah, true.
Right?
True.
Like, I mean, you have a lot of realtors that just jumped in over the last 2 years and thought that this market, all you had to do was just put a house on MLS and that was it, and it would get sold. Well, now they're realizing they got to be actually on their game. And they're going to have to work. And it's funny because like for me as a builder, I only breathe easy when like the house is closed and funded. Right? Like
that's how it should be for any.
I'm always leery, dude. Like I don't care if I have a contract. I don't even care if it's closed. I'm waiting for it to fund. Like once that money hits my account, I'm like, okay,
I hear you,
cool.
man. Because there's been times where I've gone to closing with clients, and we think it's a wrap, and it's not. You know, there's an issue that comes up with signing, and we just did verification employment the morning of closing, and you're no longer working anymore. What? And yeah, man. So I always say, do not count it until it funds, because it does not mean anything until it funds.
Until your money's in the account, don't count it. But yeah, man, I just think people are gonna have to realize like it's gonna take work. Like this like you're gonna have to hustle. You're gonna have to market, and that's one thing I will say. Like, about your team and your group, and Haley specifically, who sold that house for us on Granite. She is great at marketing. She does her job. She hustles, works hard, and you can just tell. I mean, it pays off. And I will say the same thing for Kevin. Kevin is very analytical.
He is.
He gathered the data. You know, we sat down initially. We were going to do triplexes, and he brought me the data and made a strong case that we should do quadplexes and go down in square footage per unit, in order to, to affect the cap rate positively and to have an investment that actually made sense. So he came to the table with all of this data, on his own work that he did on his own. Like he's like, we haven't even listed him yet. But he's busting his ass, showing, putting, like doing work.
Actual effort.
Doing
He's
work.
separating himself from the average agent.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that's why I like working with your team, is that they show their work. And they work really hard. And it's funny because you talk to so many realtors, especially in my business as a custom home builder and this as a builder. Like, I'll get Facebook messages all the time. Like, what can I do to earn your business? I'm like, bring me a client. Well, what can I do to be a preferred listing agent? Bring me a client. Like, bring me somebody that's going to buy a house from me. Like, and I'll reciprocate. Like, if we do business together, like, and then I just never hear from them. Or you'll get the agent that's like, oh man, I'm going to do all this and this and this, and then just never do anything.
And then it never happens.
So that's why it's refreshing to like meet people that are going to that actually work and do what they say they're going to do. And put their money where their mouth is.
Very
like
true.
that just
awesome. I give it, and I'm gonna, like I said, I'm bring him on in a little bit, but I gotta give a shout out to Kevin, because I'll be honest, man, I have nothing to do with how great he is. Like, he's an amazing realtor that I take no credibility for. Like, he's great with numbers. He's very strategic with everything. I've noticed that was one of the first things I noticed about him. But at the same time, like, he's just good. He's good at what he does. It's like you said, it's not the average agent out there that's just looking for business or looking for ways to connect. He's actually showing, like, this is where my value comes from. This is my, this is what I have to offer. So
yeah, because I've met those agents, and we've all we've all met those guys that, you know, anybody can pose with a tiger in front of a Ferrari. That's cool, I guess.
Yeah.
Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
But
hey, I got to give a shout out real quick. We got several people watching right now. What's up, Jaime? Good morning, bro. Denise Bocanegra, what's going on? I was just talking about you a bit ago. She was part of my class reunion.
Yeah, you were telling me that.
This past Saturday, man, and it's really cool to see. We got a bunch of people in here. Bettina, good morning. Heather, good morning. Joel Sparta, good morning.
Spartas.
Margaret Lopez, good morning. Michelle, sorry guys if I miss y'all. Do me a favor, like, comment, share. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Sauce Podcast with AJ Reygadas, trying to build up the audience on there. But please like, comment, and share so that way we can get more people engaged. If anyone's got a question for my boy right here about custom homes, whether you're a consumer, real estate agent, whatever it may be, please ask away so that way we can get those questions answered. But I want to dive in a little bit more about you, man.
Sure.
Tell me about John Torres and you know, are you from San Antonio?
Born and raised. Grew up here in San Antonio. I am a preacher's kid.
Yeah.
So I always joke with people that doesn't mean anything. It just means that I drink, I smoke, and I
Usually
cuss.
the preacher's kids are pretty like they broke the rules. They broke the rules.
Like I said, you know, I drink, I smoke, and I cuss, but I know how to ask for forgiveness.
There you go.
So I grew up in a church. My dad was a Pentecostal preacher, and it was rough.
Yeah.
It was really rough. But you know, it's just one of those things where you grow up in the church, and you know, that I feel like that's even informed like how I do business. Like, there's that biblical concept of stewardship.
Yeah.
That's kind of a cornerstone piece of what my business is about.
Yeah.
And being a steward simply means you're accountable and responsible for something that doesn't belong to you. And in our vineyard, our measure, our fruit are the homes that we build, but the relationships that we build with our homeowners and our trades and our vendors and our subs. I will say that over the last like 2 years, really last year when we kind of took off, I would say a little bit of pride and arrogance kind of slipped into my attitude.
Sure.
I kind of felt like, man, I sold a lot of houses. I'm kind of riding high, and I didn't treat people the best.
Yeah.
And I always paid my realtors 3%, but I don't think that I was a very good steward of those relationships. There's a lot of there's a lot of people that we did business with that, you know, I need to go back and kind of, you know, mend those fences just because I wasn't a good steward of it.
Yeah.
We were so busy and we had so much going on, but that's not an excuse.
Yeah.
You can always treat people well,
Sure.
and you're supposed to.
I love that you're making yourself vulnerable right now, man, to talk about that, because it's a big deal, you know, it just shows your character, man, because at the same time, like, there's a lot of people that know, but they choose to not do anything about it, right? They choose to find an excuse for it to validate their reasons. Man, I can relate to you currently right now, man. I kind of posted about it yesterday, but I'm going through some things right now in my personal life too that I've realized, like, man, I've made some really big mistakes that are going to be costly. And I had to meet with a buddy of mine who's a lead pastor at Grace Avenue Church. Shout out to my boy, Henry Garay. But reached out to him Monday night. I was like, bro, I need to meet with you. I need your help. I need your guidance. And very next day he met with me and he just started pouring into me. And one of the first things he said, because I'm like, I don't know where to start, bro. Like, what do I do now that I've kind of laid it all out there and shared with him? He's like, bro, start off with asking for forgiveness.
Right.
You know, that's the first thing. He was like, address your sin and ask for forgiveness. And then he's like, I'm going to give you a plan of action. And man, like, this dude just started pouring into me.
That's awesome, dude.
But that's a big deal, man. That's where I can relate to, because it's like we make mistakes and it's great that we have good self-awareness to say, you know what? I need to fix this. This isn't right.
Yeah, it's, you know, recently, so I also grew up, you know, growing up in the church, you meet a lot of other pastors, and one of the guys who was kind of influential in my life was Pastor Warren Beamer, who passed away recently. So, and then I lost my dad at the end of 2020. So,
sorry, man.
I don't have those guys in my life anymore.
Yeah.
So it's a little difficult.
Yeah.
One of the guys that I recently had a conversation with was actually James Smothers.
I love James, man.
Like, he was very encouraging.
Poured into me too.
Yeah, it was a very encouraging conversation. I didn't do any of the things he told me to do, like go back to church, but I appreciated the conversation, and really, man, I would say business ownership is tough, dude. Like, you know, like I said before, like, you know, being an entrepreneur, what does it take? It takes everything. like everything. There are days where you just don't feel like you're making a difference. You feel like you're just spinning your wheels, like you want to give up, like you want to quit. And the other thing is, like, when people post and kind of, you know, talk negatively about your business, like you take it personally, because it's you. Yeah. Like it's not the business they're attacking. It's you. It's the way you do things. Yeah. It's how you've done things. And, you know, nobody ever likes having their baby called ugly, you know, and that's a tough one. That's a tough place to be, but in order for us to get better, we got to be able to take some of that on the chin. For sure. But I would say the number one thing that I've experienced over the last couple of years has been the paradox of progress. And the paradox of progress is that even though you're progressing, you don't feel like you are. Yeah. You know, most of the time you'll see, and I'm guilty of it too, like we only post the good stuff, right? Like we're only going to post our victories. Yep. None of us are going to post our losses. Defeats. Yeah. Nobody wants to do that. Yeah. Like nobody wants to put themselves on blast, you know? Yeah. But you pull back that curtain and, you know, everybody wants to see the highlight reel. Nobody wants to see behind the scenes, right? And so you're real good at presenting an image that looks perfect, or you got it all together. And in reality, man, like it's not the case at all. It's not the case at all. That's why, man, I've said it before on here, but that's why I you know, about 4 years ago, I had decided to post my testimonial, and it was a testimonial where I came clean about a lot of things about my past, especially when I was younger, making a lot of bad decisions. Sure. And I posted my testimonial thinking this is what I needed to do to help me, right? To help me with holding myself accountable or fixing my flaws or whatever it may be. But it was guided by Pastor Ed. You know, Pastor Ed said the same exact thing in a sermon one time. He was just like, you know, we always see people posting their highlights, their great moments. How often do you see people make themselves vulnerable and post about their struggles and their challenges? Not to necessarily just ask for help, but also to hold yourself accountable and make yourself vulnerable in humility to where others can relate to you. Right. And man, like that resonated with me, where I posted my testimonial and came clean about a lot of personal things. Sure. But that's tough, right? Because like you don't want to put yourself on blast either. Well, so you're right. Like I was so nervous. I remember that day I was shaking because I was just like, man, like I'm going to talk about things that not even my mom knew. And I let it all out there, and all I kept thinking is, man, like I know how other real estate agents are. They can use this against me, you know. But at the same time, I was just like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna do it. And it was a blessing in disguise, man, because since then, like, yeah, I've had plenty of people reach out to me to share with me what their struggles are, and we relate, or I can either mention that I've been through that and told them what I've done about it. But at the same time, I've noticed, man, since then, because I kind of laid it all out there. And a friend was telling me the other day, it's like that in the 8 Mile with Eminem, where he's doing that battle and he talks about everything about him that the enemy can't use against him. Right. It was the same concept where I just kind of threw it all out there, and it made me feel like, you know what, I have nothing to hide anymore. Right. Like I can just talk about whatever, and I'm okay with it now, you know. And yeah, I don't know, it helped a lot, man. Yeah, I think, dude, it's funny because like. You know, kind of talking about what, you know, other real estate agents using things against you. You know, I think for me, I kind of switched my mindset on things about a year and a half ago. Before, like, it was all about competing with other builders and trying to be the best, right? But like, if you switch your mindset to an abundance mindset, like there's enough for everybody. Yeah. Like, dude, I will be the first one to say there are some really good custom builders out there. Yeah. Like, Ben Hudson, personal friend of mine. That was something I was going to ask you. Like BK Hudson Homes, dude, that dude is a badass. Yeah. Like Ben and I have collaborated on schedules and stuff, and like he's a good dude. Like I like Ben. Ben's a good friend. Troy French, another dang good builder, dude, out in New Braunfels, really good builder. Right next door to us, JLP. JLP, they build a great home, dude. They build a really nice home. Yeah. Even I would say Artisan down the street on the other side, Gabe. Yeah. Good dude, solid builder. Just got into it, but he builds a great product. Yeah. And then there's some builders out there that aren't that great, but we're just not going to talk about it. But we won't say those names. But at the end of the day, man, like there's enough business out there for everybody. Yeah. And honestly, like I'm about trying to open doors for other people, not just myself. So. Chris Hill, a good friend of mine, who's now the division president for a new company that's coming here. Signorelli is their parent company. I think it's First American Homes. Okay, is the name of the company that's coming here. But he's the new division president. But I used to work for him at Castle Rock and at Weekly, dude, probably one of the best bosses I ever had.
Yeah.
Like, the dude was just, what he excels at is cultivating people. Like, he is really good at cultivating people. Like, for him, it's not so much about units sold.
It's the relationship.
Or it's relationships. If he can take someone that's like, starts out as a builder, but then moves to a senior builder, a PM, and then just kind of, he brings them up. Like, that's what he's about.
That's a true definition of a leader right there.
Good dude right there. Yeah. But I was able to open the door for him. And this, like, I benefit in no way from this. But Paul, my business partner who has all these lots, he's like, hey, I've heard of Paul.
Yeah.
Can you make an introduction? I'm like, yeah, of course, man. For sure. 100%. Yeah. So I opened the door for him to meet with Paul and to see if he can, do some business. But like, those are the things I'm trying to do now.
Yeah.
Cause I feel like if you take that Go-Giver approach,
yeah. Like, I love that book, by the way, The Go-Giver.
The Go-Giver, Raving Fans.
Raving Fans is my all-time favorite.
Raving Fans is a good book. And then What It Takes by Stephen Schwartzman is here are my top three, like, business books too. Like, and What It Takes, he talks about a 10.
Good book. Okay.
That's a good
I haven't
book
read that one.
Yeah, it's a good book, man. A 10 is someone who identifies problems, designs solutions, and implements those solutions with little to no supervision. That's a 10.
Yeah.
And I would say hire you a team of 10s and like your business will just explode. Yeah. Which is kind of what I've done by bringing on Joel Sparta.
Yeah.
Joel,
great dude.
Solid guy.
Yeah.
We've had some hard conversations too because like his wife works for me, right?
Yeah.
So like how's that dynamic going to play out? How am I going to manage that?
Yeah.
But again, like, we had some very honest conversations about what he's trying to accomplish and what I'm trying to accomplish. And at the end of the day, like, it makes sense for him to be a part of our organization and help us grow. Yeah. So I'm excited about having him on the team.
Yeah.
And then our two construction managers are really good at what they do. They work hard. But again, it's just having a team of 10s, man.
It seems like you are positioning yourself to have all the right pieces in the right place because, as you've mentioned, you've kind of shifted some positions within the company with some of your people or your staff. So it's very important, like you said, to make sure you have people in the right place to make y'all functional. Right. And it's good to have those hard conversations. So sometimes too, right? I could imagine it, like me and Moses have those kind of conversations every single week. Where we're not necessarily yelling, but we'll have disagreements.
But iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, man.
And there's sparks.
And it's so true.
And there's friction that takes place in that. Like it's like, confrontation, the definition of the word confrontation is just to face the truth boldly.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to do that.
Yep.
And
I agree.
But knowing that it's a safe place to do that there's no ulterior motive, that you're just trying to make the team better or trying to make the product better, whatever it is, like the end goal is to make sure that you have a positive impact from that conversation. Because if it's just arguing for the argument's sake, like, I'm not about
that's
that.
Different.
Like, dude,
we got a question on here from Brianna Pedraza. Sometimes potential clients see custom and think expensive. My question for John is it really that much more expensive compared to the more cookie cutter products?
I would say no.
Yeah.
It's really not. It's really not that much more expensive, or even in some cases, it's not more expensive. Yeah. It really just depends on where you want to build.
This one that we're talking about, I didn't mean to cut you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're fine. Go ahead.
The one that you're building right now, that you're finishing out with Haley's client.
Yeah. It's a $400,000 home.
Yeah, it's a $400,000 home, which that's what most new home specs are going for.
I didn't know we could cuss on here. I was trying. I was cleaning it up.
Yeah, it's okay to say a bad word here.
I was cleaning it up.
But yeah, no, it's a $400,000 home.
It's a $400,000 home. But it depends on the finishes, right? So, but again, there's things you can do to make a home look custom.
Yeah.
That won't break the bank. So what we've done on those, even though they're 100% siding, we're mixing in some of the board and batten on the gables.
Yeah.
And then we're painting the gables different colors. We're making the house look custom. As you go on the inside of the home, it's still hard surface flooring throughout the home. It's still 8-foot doors, still 10-foot plate line.
Yeah.
Custom cabinets, granite countertops. You still have a custom finished home on the inside.
Yeah.
It's just it's a smaller house. It's probably about 1,800 square feet.
Yeah.
But on top of that, it's on a quarter of an acre versus an acre.
Yeah.
So it really just depends on where and what you want to build.
Yeah.
But no, I mean it's really not that much more expensive, and in some cases it's not more expensive.
Let me. Well, so also too that I don't know if a lot of people know this, but when you do custom, you are walking into equity in most cases. You have equity that you're walking
especially
into.
Like now, like how.
So that was another thing I was going to get into with
that, especially where we're at today.
Yeah.
And fluctuating costs, and I would say like I've actually seen some costs come down.
Yeah.
So it's actually encouraging. Like lumber's coming down, framing labor is coming down. There's some things that are normalizing, getting back to normal, which I'm really excited about.
So my question to you, man, and I truly don't know the answer to this.
Sure.
I don't remember if we've talked about it or not in the past, but my question to you is with everything that was going on last year with executed contracts and the escalation clause,
right.
you know, with builders being thrown on the news for, and we're not referring to custom builders, but inventory builders, or we should say that entry-level builders were getting thrown on the news for doing escalation pricing on contracts that they initially signed with the buyer, but then say, hey, we're going up now. That price is no longer $300,000, it's $350,000.
But there's a reason, right? So like there's a cost.
Yeah.
So if the cost of a project or a home or whatever has increased, that builder still has to make their margin.
Sure.
And I think there's this like misunderstanding as to what a builder makes.
Yeah.
So traditionally you're thinking, oh, he's going to make anywhere from 18 to 20%, right?
Yeah.
That's not true, man.
I've actually heard it's decent, but it's not. So I had maybe it was you when we first met. I can't remember, but I remember a builder told me one time, like, man, no, it wasn't you. A builder told me one time, y'all realtors got it easy, man.
Yes.
Because you make 3% on one of our homes where you're getting a $20,000, $30,000 check sometimes. I'm lucky if I make $60,000 or $70,000 on the deal, and I'm the one building and
I'm
walking.
the one busting my ass. Oh, dude, like there's definitely a little bit of realtor envy on like a little bit of like animosity, a little bit, because it's like you sit back and like, this asshole didn't do shit, and I did everything, and he's posting, and he's standing in front, and he's driving the Mercedes. I'm over here busting my ass. Like, in all honesty, dude, like the margins end up being after, like, it's called net. So like, cause you have like your gross profit, but then you net, but then you still have to pay for the office and you have to pay for staff and you have to cover your costs. So your net on a project usually ends up somewhere around like 7%.
Wow.
If you're lucky.
Wow.
Like if you've done your work right, it ends up being about 7%.
So buyers, just know these builders are not out there to screw you over when it comes to what they're selling the products for.
And I had, when the prices first kind of got goofy, I had to bust some people out on some specs that I had.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I gave them the opportunity. I was like, look, man, I just can't sell it at a loss. Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm in this to make money. Like, this is how I pay for my daughter's college tuition. This is how I put food on the table for my sons. Like, this is how I keep a roof over their head. I do this for a living. Yeah. So I can't do it for free. Yeah. And like, oh, well, you're crushing our dreams. I'm like, I'm sorry. Yeah. But I'm not gonna I'm a capitalist.
It's not out of greed.
It's not out of greed.
It's out of like,
it's
hey,
out of
I got
necessity,
a business to run. Necessity.
Like there's what's good for the business, and then there's what's good for everyone. And I try to take a utilitarian, ethical approach, like the most good for the most people. Yeah. But that doesn't mean it's going to be, you know, roses and butterflies for everybody. Like, somebody's feelings are going to get hurt. Yeah. But dude, that's running a business. Like, you got to make the hard decisions. Yeah. But it takes its toll. I'll say, like, dude, I've had sleepless nights. I've had times where I'm up until 3 o'clock in the morning. Oh man, it's brutal, man. And it takes a toll. Like, it takes a toll on personal relationships. I mean, it's tough, dude.
So I'm curious to know, man, because like you said, I know you've been in the business for a long time, but you just broke ground in 2018, I believe it was, with your product, with your company. How has been, I don't mean to get too deep, but how has that been with your family, right? Like,
it's been tough, man.
Your wife, it requires, I'm managing a lot of moral support, and there's disagreements and balancing, and
right, for sure, 100%. Like, I had my business partner at the time, Dennis. He was like, we were having a hard conversation about business because we're just one of those days that we're just having a hard conversation. And he's like, I know you're stressed, I know you're worried, but like, did you ever ask your wife, like, if this was her dream, like, if this was something she wanted to do? And I was like, I never really thought about that. Yeah. And so I went to her and I was like, hey, like, are you cool? She's like, well, you're already doing it. So like, why are you asking me now? She's like, no, I mean, it's fine. She's like, in the beginning, like, no, but it's fine. You're doing it. So, and what kind of sucks is, like, my kids are all older. Yeah. But my daughter, she's 20, and then my son is 17, and then my youngest is 13. Mm-hmm. So they're in that time where they've got football games, and my daughter's a Texas State strutter. Oh, wow. So she's on the dance team at Texas State. She's head chaplain. Nice. And anybody that knows me knew that I was going to mention her, because she's definitely my my superstar. She's just a hard worker.
That's awesome.
Interior design major. Just a really great kid.
She planning on coming working with you?
I don't know, man. Like, it's funny. So like, I asked her if she would come work with me, like, and she was like, no. Like in the beginning, it was a hard no.
Yeah.
It was like, no, Dad. Like, she and I are exactly alike. Like she looks like me, and she's just entrepreneurial. She's a hard worker.
Yeah.
But it's funny. Her tune has changed as of late a little bit. Because I was actually able to open the door for her to get an internship at an interior design firm here in town. So she's like, maybe it's not so bad. You know? I'm like, well, look, ultimately, what I tell my kids is like, leave it better than you found it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to hopefully hand you something that you're going to take further and take it past what I did.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want.
That's what any parent
right.
should
like, I mean, I'm, it's not a handout. It's a hand up.
Yeah.
And if you can take the business and take it further than I did, like that's what I want for you. But yeah, I mean, it just requires like, and then my son plays football at Reagan and my youngest is at Lopez and he plays football there. Nice. And
where'd you go to high school?
I went to Roosevelt.
Nice. But high school sweetheart with your wife?
No. Okay. I met her later. I met her when I was like 18. No, I was 19.
Okay.
And she was interning at a church and,
got yourself a church woman.
Yeah, she's much better than I am, that's for sure. But she was going to be, she's from Peoria, Illinois. So,
oh wow, okay.
Yeah, she's from the Midwest, and she was going to be in student ministry, and she just met her, and it just clicked.
Yeah.
And I knew she wasn't going back after that. And her dad told her, just don't go down to San Antonio and fall in love.
Dang.
And you know, don't talk to those Mexicans. and there I was. So yeah, no, but it's cool, man. Like her it's interesting because her dad passed away from colon cancer in 2004, and what we named the business was Wagner Holic. And my father-in-law, Kevin Wagner, he didn't have sons; he just had two daughters.
Someone to carry
so I wanted to kind of give him back something to kind of like honor him a little bit. Yeah. So that's why we named the business that. But it's funny because my son, my 17-year-old, looks just like him.
Really?
Yeah, just like him. Like, dude, my wife was pregnant with him when her dad died.
Yeah.
And it's weird because like he has his hand mannerisms,
Wow.
like looks like him, like but his name's John. Like we named him after me, so it's just funny. We call him Mexikev. So, but yeah, no, Johnny looks just like him, talks like him, and. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because now my father-in-law would have had 3 grandsons that he never got to meet. Yeah. But, you know, I wanted to give him something, you know. So for the time, you know, we named the company after him and kind of gave back that way.
Nice,
so,
nice.
But yeah, I mean, it's again, it takes its toll.
Yeah.
Business ownership is tough, man.
Yeah.
It's tough on a family. That's why a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of business owners, dude, like their marriages don't make it.
Yeah.
Because like, it's tough.
I didn't realize how much of a common thing that is.
Oh yeah,
until I got into business.
Yeah, once you start meeting other
went
business,
through it myself.
Right, and you're like, oh shit, like this is hard.
Yeah,
this is real hard because because it's so hard, you have this like sense of entitlement, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey man, I work so hard, so I should get to drink. I can hang out at the bar for a couple hours and just de-stress. Which, like you're already not spending time at home because you're working and now you're drinking. It's just it's a cycle that you got to manage very carefully and the other thing is, man, like I honestly do enjoy what I do. Yeah. Like when things are going shitty, like I still enjoy it. Yeah. Like I don't think I'll be doing anything else. Like, I just can't find myself doing anything else because I really do like creating and building. Nice. But it's still tough and it's still hard and it's a challenge every day. Yeah. And you just got to fight through it and push through. But yeah, man, it does take a toll on the family and you see it and. You know, sometimes it's like you're cutting your nose off to spite your face. Yeah. There's that verse in the Bible that says, what does a man gain, or how does it go? If a man gains the whole world but loses his own soul, something to that effect. Like, you know, if you're going after whatever the goal is, but you end up losing your family in the process, it's kind of a sobering thought. What's it really worth at that point? What's it worth? But yeah, no, these are just sobering thoughts to kind of talk about. But yeah, business ownership is definitely not for the weak at heart. That's for sure. it takes its toll mentally.
That's usually one of the first things I say when I meet a brand new agent is I ask them, do you have someone for moral support?
Right.
You need someone that's going to be able to give you that moral support because you're going to get beat up.
Oh yeah, man. Like I go home and dude, I just feel like I've had my nuts kicked in like all day.
Yeah.
Like it's tough, man, because like you go from one hard conversation to another.
Yeah.
Whether for me as a business owner, whether it's a vendor or a trade, looking to get paid early on something.
Yep.
And even though you have terms and agreements and they're trying to circumvent those terms and agreements, or a homeowner, or your own staff, like it's just, man, it's a grind, dude. It's a never ending battle.
I hear that.
It's a never ending
let's
battle.
get my boy Kevin on here. Kevin, bring a chair over here, man. Let's get you in here. I got my boy Kevin Gomez, one of the agents in the brokerage that's here, and we'll probably just put him in between us, man. Let's see here. This is unscripted, unplanned. Come on in here, bro.
What's up, big dog?
Good morning, guys. How y'all doing?
Good morning. Good. So I'm glad you stopped by, bro, because I wanted to get you to talk a little bit. You're going to have to talk into the mic, but cool. I wanted to get you to talk a little bit because, you're doing business with John, and like he said, he pointed out some things about you.
Plus, like, I introduced you guys.
He introduced us, too, and I'm thankful for that because this dude's a great dude, man.
He's
and
solid.
He joined and kicked ass. Like, he took off right away with this business. And so what I kind of would like you to share is how did you know to present those numbers and come at him with what you came at him with, which was providing factual data that he could use to help make a wise, conscious decision. Tell us about your experience. I'm assuming that has something to do with it.
So,
Oh, yeah.
well, you were talking about a little bit ago, John, talking about value, right? We're talking about the value that realtors bring to the table. And a lot of the times, well, not a lot of the times, all the time, it's easy to find somebody who's there who's ready to collect the check.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody wants to show up with their hand open and say, thank you for my check.
Yeah.
This is what I'm here for, right?
Yeah.
But very few people want to actually help you build what you're trying to build or accomplish what you're trying to accomplish and be a part of that process initially.
Yeah.
And I'm the type of person that genuinely enjoys that part. Like y'all were saying about me, I'm very analytical. And I almost find it easier to do the work up front so that the rest of it becomes easier.
Right.
So as we were having conversations about what he was working on, I said, okay, I got to use my knowledge and my database and reach out to my people and reach out to my network and those who know more than I do even.
Yeah.
And start figuring all this out so I can present to him what would be the best thing for him to do.
Yeah.
And so did a lot of research, put the numbers together, showed him, hey, you guys are thinking about this right now. How about this? How about that? And then we talked about square footage. We had a couple of conversations where I'm like, hey, I know you want to do this. I know you got the plans made.
Yeah.
But look at this. Look at that. This is why I feel this. This is why I feel that.
Yeah.
And I'm, sometimes people take that the wrong way.
Yeah.
Sometimes folks say like.
It takes the right person.
Right.
To be open to hearing that.
Right, 100%. And so that's what I love about working with John, that I can actually communicate with him effectively.
Right.
I can say, hey, like, this is not emotional, this is not personal,
Right.
this is just business. These are numbers on paper, this is black and white, and if we look at this and build off of this and grind off of this, we'll be able to accomplish the goal at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it's it almost makes it easy to do it that way.
Yeah.
And it's funny when in talking about this particular project, so we went to the quadplexes.
Yeah.
Well, then we found out, because these are on septic, so then we found out that we didn't have enough room for the septic tank.
Oh, shit.
So I'm like, oh my God. Like, we just made this like strong case to our investor that we got to do quadplexes versus triplexes. We brought all this data, brought all these numbers, made a strong case for quadplexes, and now I'm screwed because I can't do because I don't have enough room for the septic. So I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, we walked out of a great meeting into a small private meeting of,
Now what? Yeah. Like, but like I stopped. I was like, if the one thing that my experience is held true over the last, 15 years, however long it's been, of doing this, like there's always a way.
Yeah.
I just got to look at it and I got to sit with it for a minute.
Puzzle.
It's a puzzle.
Yeah.
It's like playing Tetris. Like, and it's funny, like even managing money and like that's the way I think about it. Like running a business, it's like just playing Tetris.
Yeah.
But you just got to sit with it for a minute and be like, okay, what do I got to do? What do I got to do? So I'm like, all right, well, what if I move it up to the setback line, shorten the driveways, get rid of half the backyard? Like these are rentals anyway. It's not that big of a deal. Like we're still going to effectively meet our goal here.
Yeah.
And like we were able to squeeze out 12,000 square feet for the septic tank. So I was like, okay,
damn,
crisis averted.
Yeah.
So
like
it would not have been
there,
fun going back to.
No, not at all.
That would
But
have sucked.
That right there is a perfect example of somebody who's willing to work around the problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it would have been easier to push back on me and
Yeah.
say, hey, well, you told me we should do this, but we can't do this. Let's just go with the original
Like,
plan.
be like, it's your fault, cabrón. Like, I didn't want to do that.
100%. It would have been much easier for most people to do that.
Yeah.
But we sat down. That was never a conversation. It was, how do we
Yeah,
make this happen?
right.
How do we work this into the
It was
equation?
collaborative. It was collaborative.
So let me ask you, man, before becoming a realtor, what did you do?
So I worked for a builder for about 5 years. I worked for KB Home.
Okay, cool. So, so that's where your background mainly comes from, as far as being able to know exactly how to address his needs, his wants, and also giving him a plan or helping him with creating this plan. So I'm assuming that's your experience is what helped you with that.
Yeah, to a degree. Growing up, I went sideways in the direction I was supposed to go, right? My parents always were into real estate as a kid. I was always around real estate, always in projects that they had, always in developments that they were working on. And they wanted me to be a doctor. So I went to school, studied biology. And when I graduated, I realized that I didn't really want to do that. I didn't want to work in the hospital.
Yeah.
And I got a job in sales. From there, I ended up working for a builder in sales. And so the builder side taught me a lot of it, but I also, my entirety of my life, I've been around multifamily real estate. I've been around Section 8 housing. I've been around investments and flips. So I've always had that natural curiosity to it.
Yeah.
And I'm the kind of person that my nerding out is about real estate. I like to read
you
online
have
and
he has this calculated approach about
Right.
him. It's very calculated. I've noticed that about you. Everything like in your, you know, everything you say, how you think, how you know, how I've noticed how your brain operates is very calculated.
yeah, I'm a little nerdy.
Yeah.
I have my nerd
Versus
moments.
someone like me, I'm just like throwing it all out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's very calculated, which is very brilliant in my opinion.
Sure.
Like, that's a gift. You know, in my opinion, that's a gift, and so that's awesome, man. So, you know, tell us about this project though that you are working on. When should it be? What's the expected completion? When are we breaking ground?
We're looking to break ground in September.
Okay.
At the end of September is what we're looking like.
Okay.
We're just wrapping up some development stuff on it right now.
Yeah.
But it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be 6 quadplexes, 24 units.
Nice.
And we are going to put these on the MLS because there's nothing like this on MLS
Yeah.
right now. There's a huge,
especially out there.
Yeah, there's a huge need for it. And the cool part about that project is it's actually in the Shirt-Cibolo School District.
Yeah.
So it's one of the better school districts.
Yeah.
And I feel that that's going to help it. It's in a very transient area because you have a lot of military coming in and out.
Yeah.
So I feel like for an investor, they're always going to keep them occupied.
Yeah.
So we're really excited about that one. But the goal, Kevin and I are going to work over the next year is to try to do one of these every quarter.
Nice.
So yeah,
Damn.
so we have the ability through Paul to be able to find the land and do this. But yeah, we're just gonna. This is our guinea pig.
If you don't mind me asking, what's the price point that we're projecting to?
So I don't want to share that just yet because we're actually
Yeah.
kind of working through that right now on pricing out the plan.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't mind sharing it with you just now. Right
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
'cause
yeah. No,
I don't
yeah,
want
we
to speak
wanna
out of
shoot ourselves in
turn.
the
Yeah,
foot.
exactly. I'm like, oh, you know,
Yeah, the people are gonna hold you to it. Trust me, because
Yeah.
I remember watching that segment. And you said this.
Exactly, and like you're a liar, and then you go post John Torres is a liar.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I know.
Real
Okay.
quick, I'm curious. A lot of people are curious to know what is the expected completion time. You have 2 different products, right?
Right. So on the smaller line, which is that entry level custom home, very similar to a semi-production.
Yeah.
You're probably looking at about 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
On the bigger custom
isn't bad.
stuff, you're looking probably about closer to 10 to 12 months.
Still isn't bad for a
Right.
custom home. That's
As long
not
as there's
bad.
no changes. As long as your
Exactly.
owner doesn't go off the reservation. As long as you as a realtor are involved and you are
Not being
an
a pain in the
advocate,
ass.
don't be a pain in the ass. Like, we don't need that. We already have enough pains in the ass. Like bring value.
Yeah.
Like bring value to the situation by helping us manage
Which
the
is what
relationship.
Haley and Kevin have done.
100%.
Yeah.
I had to learn from working in the builder world. A lot of realtors work against you.
Oh
Yeah.
god.
And a lot of times there's not
Dude,
an
it's
issue.
adversarial, right?
Right. 100%.
Why?
Yeah.
It's stupid.
They make
Yeah.
their own lives harder. They make our lives harder.
Right.
They make their clients' lives harder. If you care about your client first and foremost, it becomes a lot easier to make that your priority.
And I've
Yeah.
seen
with that.
some realtors like just totally screw up a deal.
Yeah.
I'm like, jackass, like you're making money. Like you're so,
It's the
like
problem of overspeaking.
right. Stop. Stop. Like I remember I had a dude. He walked in. I was working for Castle Rock at the time, and he walks in just with an attitude, real chingon, right?
Yeah.
Like just walked in like he's like, "Where's the blue tape?" I'm like, "Well, calm down, dude. Like let me run you through and like do the homeowner's orientation. Like I have a way that I do this. Like,
Yeah.
I start at the driveway. I show them the water meter. Like let me orientate my homeowner on their new home.
Yeah.
Let me show them how to operate their home and answer questions. And if we find things along the way, there'll be a time for blue tape. I promise. dude, he was terco, like on my ass, wanting that blue tape. So like I took it and I put it in a drawer.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what, dude? Like we're not doing this right now for like the 5th time.
Go home.
And then he asked for it again. I was like, you know what? I took it out of the drawer. I said, you know, why don't you go upstairs to like the furthest bedroom, start over there, and then like when you're done, like then you can come down and we can talk about it. But like, go away.
He probably wanted the blue tape so he could just make some videos showing his client.
Who knows? No, but this was like the client was there. I was like,
man.
bro, what are you doing? And so
Working for his commission.
I guess like you feel like if I put more blue tape, but like somehow I'm like worth that 3%.
Maybe he hadn't been around. Maybe he was there when he needed to.
I don't know. So like he goes all attitude-y, whatever, and then he comes back after a while and then hands me the blue. He's like, well, this is a good house. It's a tight home.
It's a good house.
And he blazes, right?
He's
So,
got
like,
a stamp on it.
yeah,
now.
so he leaves, and he ended up calling like my boss and like bitched to them about me, whatever. And they're like, "You're just doing your job, like whatever."
Yeah.
Fuck that guy. And so, sorry, I didn't know I said the F word.
You're
My
good.
bad. So
We're not on cable.
my bad.
Not discriminate.
So then like I went to another builder. I was at David Weekley, like in Alamo Ranch. And I see this same fool show up, right, with a different client.
Oh, shit.
He looks at me and he's like, "We'll do the blue tape whenever you're ready, John." I was like, "Good boy."
Dang.
But after that, we were cool, and like we've
Yeah.
done business afterwards. Like I can't remember the guy's name now, but
Yeah,
like, we're
you can.
Like,
Yeah, you can.
I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it.
No, I'm joking.
But like, yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's like just don't make it harder than it has to be. Just chill.
Yeah.
Like we all want the same thing. We want to make the homeowner happy.
Yeah.
Like, we all want to do that.
Amen.
I promise. And we all want to make money. Like everyone wants to go home at the end of the day.
Yep.
You know,
the pursuit of happiness for all of us.
That's it, man. So.
Well, guys, thank you for joining me this morning on the podcast. Real quick, man, how can people find you?
People can find me via my Instagram, The Real Kevin G, or Facebook, Kevin Gomez.
So smooth, dude. The real Kevin G. That sounds like an R&B singer,
I
bro.
stole that from Mean Girls.
And what about you, John?
Man, for now, just WagnerHolic.com. Just we got our Facebook, we've got Instagram. Like I don't even really mess with all that. We have people that handle that for us because I'm not very technologically savvy.
Yeah.
I know enough to be dangerous, but like again,
Dangerous to yourself.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I look forward to growing this business with y'all guys, including Haley, who couldn't make it today, but just seeing, the friendship, the camaraderie of working together and showing, setting as an example, agents such as yourself and Haley showing like the value, right? Versus
100%.
just, hey, I'm in it for a paycheck. You showing your value of you building the product that you build. I feel like it's very unique in its own way, and it's a very beautiful product, man.
Dude, and this is a synergistic process.
Yeah.
And that's what I appreciate about working with your team.
Yeah.
Again, anything that we can do to support your brokerage, we're all about it.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Yes, everybody, thank you for tuning in and watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to the Sauce Podcast, brought to you live every Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. at the Align Studios with my badass production team, S180 with Saulo. I'm getting a lot of compliments about Saulo's production, man, so thank you for that, bro. Hey, y'all, just real quick before y'all tune out, I want to mention about next week's podcast. I'm really excited about it. I have two highly successful women coming on the podcast. One of them is currently a judge for the county, who I just so happen to went to high school with, Melissa Vada. She's running for re-election again this coming November, as well as Marissa Rodriguez, who's also someone that I went to high school with and is an attorney. So I'm really looking forward to bringing these ladies on to hear their story, share, about their careers, their journey. But please make sure that y'all stay tuned and get connected to tune in to next Wednesday's podcast live at 7 a.m. on the Sauce Podcast with AJ Reygadas. Y'all have a great one.